Talk us through the logic of them looking to sell off these assets now.
Good morning, Heidi. Yeah, well, if you consider where Brent prices are right now, skirting around the $70 a barrel level, it's pretty clear to see why there might be some rationale behind them having another look at these assets. It's long been a rumor in the industry that BHP would be a seller if they found the right price for these assets. And obviously, when COVID hit last year, we saw an absolute rout in prices for oil and gas. So that sort of took any sale off the table, at least in the short term. But with that rally, people are starting to look at these assets again. I'd also point to the news we had yesterday that of a potential major M&A deal with Santos and Oil Search, two big gas producers here. So M&A activity is clearly starting to pick up, and I think this BHP move is probably reflective of that. Also, BHP, any decision for them to sell may have one eye on the future. It's no secret that the clean energy transition is well underway, and the shift away from fossil fuels is an ongoing process. And it could be that BHP is eyeing a pivot away from fossil fuels.
But what are some of the potential obstacles that they could face to a sale?
Yeah, well, that goes back to the point I just made. Certainly, some of the big listed global energy companies, it's not as easy for them to do big M&A in the sector anymore because they're under pressure from investors to explain their greenhouse gas emissions, what they're doing to lower those, and adding a whole load of new assets in the sector is problematic. They've really got to give a good reason for it because investors otherwise will be asking questions. So that could potentially take some potential big big would-be acquirers out of the equation. It's easier for private players to make these sort of deals, and I guess they might be looking at these assets. They're top quality assets. Gulf of Mexico is a strong producing area for BHP. Also, the Bass Strait has long been really lucrative for BHP. So there's value in these assets, and with oil prices where they are, there will be some buyers somewhere. But as I mentioned, the pool might be a little smaller than it would have been, say 5-10 years ago.
What about the longer term strategy and outlook, right? What happens after they get out of fossil fuels? What does the future look like for their business model?
Sure. Well, of course, until there's an actual sale done, we can't really make it's hard to make too many conclusions, but we certainly know that BHP is looking to exit its coal business. They did a deal with Glencore in Colombia to sell a thermal coal mine there. They've been very public that they'd like to exit coal. So getting out of oil and gas would be the next logical step if they want to exit fossil fuel. The CEO, Mike Henry, one of his favourite topics is future-facing minerals. He talks about that at every opportunity, how he'd like the company to have more exposure to those. And I'm talking about copper, nickel, cobalt, the sort of minerals that are critical components in battery manufacture, renewables, that sort of thing. BHP is certainly looking to boost its exposure there. And also we have a big decision coming up from BHP in Canada, where they've been developing a potash project. They're due to make a final investment decision on whether to go ahead with that in the next couple of months. And that will involve a $5 billion investment to really expand their portfolio into potash, which is seen as a vital ingredient as the world moves to increasingly urbanized population.